Hello and welcome to Jekyll Geek's RPG Realm. I'm Jekyll Geek and this is my RPG Realm. I finally decided to do a an actual RPG review. This is you can probably guess by looking at it, is the Nimble, a fast tactical RPG written by Evan Diaz. And I want to say two things as of this recording is one, that there's currently a Kickstarter for a bunch of expansion content. So if you see this video, this is the perfect time to get into it because there there's Kickstarter, and with the Kickstarter it's cheaper to buy than normal, and there's just a bunch of stuff coming out for it, which is important to note. And second thing, if you don't listen to anything else I say, I'm just going to say that as of this recording, about one third of my channel content is Nimble solo play, which is currently at 18 videos. And as of now, after this review, I have four more videos that I have yet to upload. So this is the equivalent of a food critic getting out their third helping of something that they're going to review. So yeah, no one gets a third helping or 18 videos of solo play of a system they hate. So yeah, that's a nutshell review. But I'm going to go further into this. Is Nimble? It is is a how do I say it? Is a RPG that is very fast. Well, yeah, if you look through my solo plays, monster uh, combat goes fast, and my solo plays are very combat focused, especially with this system. But it is sort of a very meaty system. So I was thinking of it as the perfect compromise. Whereas you have like your players that like an old school game that combat goes faster, but yeah, it also helps the new players that don't want to have to deal with a wizard that has one hit point and only one casting a magic missile, or a fighter that has no class abilities. Nimble can go through a standard combat in about 5 to 10 minutes. It's kind of crazy. I've and what if let's see. But what you can do with Nimble is you have your 11 classes, which map out to a renamed version of all of the classes that you can get in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, which this game does purport to be compatible with 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but you can get an analog to all the classes except for Mage, which is pretty much the combination of Wizard and Sorcerer, because you can get stuff like Spell Shaper abilities, which are kind of your meta magic. But yeah, they all have different names and different amount of complexity. So, like, if this system's pretty simple, but if you're really simple, play the cheat, which is the equivalent to a rogue. But I found a lot of the classes are easy to deal with, even some of the more difficult ones. But I think we need to go first to what makes Nimble a very quick system, which is the combat. Is you roll your dice, your attack die, which is based off of either what spell you're using or what weapon you're trying to kill someone with. Well, one of the monsters. Like, let's say one thing that you get a mace, which is 1d6 plus strength damage. But the important thing is to note when you're rolling, and this is the thing that really makes it fast, is when you roll that d6, unless you get a 1, you automatically do damage. And if you roll a 6, which is the maximum, you get to roll again. So it's an exploding die. And I found this is a really fun, not only quick, but a very fun and very exciting, and I'd say swingy system, but it's swinging in a good way. Whereas, say in Dungeons and Dragons, combat can slog down by if you just roll low. It's like you roll a 5, you roll a 7, and it just does nothing. But Nimble, unless you roll a 1, which is a slightly rare occurrence, but even so, it's you just roll 1, you just go on. But it just keeps going at a very quick pace. And you get those just out of the blue moments when the dice explodes like 2 or 3 times. So yeah, you have the like your club or your mace or your short sword. It's like you do d6, then you do another d6, and then you do a 3. Like you're thinking that you'd be doing about 4 damage, but you end up doing 15. Yeah, it's crazy. This system is crazy like that. But the thing is that there's also defense, which is important to note because defense requires an action, which I find this is my my most head scratchy thing with this. But the you have your armor, and your armor reduces the amount of damage you take if you take the defend actions, which is important to take because the thing is, when I said you do your d6, and unless you roll a 1, you hit. The thing is, like if you're fighting orcs or goblins, unless they roll a 1, they hit as well. So even though, for example, you have you're like commanders, like you have like 17 points and 17 HP at level 1. Even so, that HP goes down very, very quick. As if you've watched my solo play videos, you would know this. Unless you defend, which you can defend once per turn out of one of your 3 actions. And what is your actions, you say? Yes, every turn you get 3 actions. You don't have to deal with like bonus action or move action. It's just 3 actions. So it's very nice. One of my other favorite systems uses something like this, but it's 4 actions. But this is 3 actions. I find it also works very, very nicely. So you have your characters, like they've renamed the fighter the commander, and I find it's very nice because it feels very tanky and like a very big tank class, and it's not like that weird weird sort of feeling where if you have a high armor class, everything is like, no, you're kind of slow, but you're very tough. When I found it like a commander, like especially if you do the bulwark, like you feel like nearly invincible until till your defend actions run out. Which I'd say one thing you have to remember if you're playing with the system as a game master, you have to remember to not overload your players with a lot of enemies because action economy is very important to this game. That is one of the things I'm going to just harp on and remember is that yeah, remember your action economy. But one way this is also different when from Dungeons and Dragons is you have something called legendary monsters, which is if you've played modern Dungeons and Dragons or something like that, you know that you shouldn't use one big solo monster, but because otherwise the players are just gonna surround it and just beat it to death easily or stun lock it or whatever. You with Nimble, there's something called legendary monsters, and legendary monsters, unlike most monsters, they attack after each turn, so they can deal with the action economy. And I did run a game, did run a episode of my solo play, episode 15, Enter the Owlbear, against the legendary monsters, and they do feel like big, scary boss monsters that you can just plop into one of them, throw them at your PCs, and it does feel like a nice big boss battle. But you have also about a few dozen in this system, like the kobolds, and each of these enemies have some special abilities. But I found the special abilities are never really overpowering. That is difficult to remember all of this. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself because as you see these tabs, there's three tabs for three books, which you have the three books, which you have the core game, which has all the rules for it. You have the Game Master's Guide, which has the monster manual and all your other Game Master important rules. And you have the Hero book, which gets all the 11 spellcaster and martial classes. Even so, there's four other classes to play with. I think they show somewhere in the Kickstarter new hero classes, which is the Artificer, the Sign, and the Hexbinder. I don't know too much about the Sign and Artificer right now, but I found the Hexbinder is an interesting offshoot to the Mage because instead of sort of a raw DPS blaster mage, which is the mage class, the Hexbinder is a more of a debuff version of the mage, which is a very interesting offshoot of the mage, which I found very fun. And if I played more with this, I need to play with other RPGs. But yeah, the Hexbinder's nice. Pretty much all the classes are nice, I'd say. Like you have, let's see, what I've played with the Berserker, your barbarian version, Commander, which is the fighter, but also has some. If you've played 4E, that's called the for the editions Dungeons, it has some sort of the some warlord abilities, or if you play draw steel, it's the tactician. But yeah, it's the fighter, and the thing is, the fighter is also sort of the officer class, which is really good. And you have the Oathsworn, which is the paladin version, and I found very, very nice. But you have all these 11 classes, so you can play pretty much everything you can play in 5th edition. And you have all the ancestries, which I can just go back there. Like you have your basics, and the thing is, you can have also your exotic, which is like there's a whole bunch of versions, like crazy versions. But I found you can pretty much play anything, almost anything you want to, and it has a combat that is very exciting, very quick, but not quick like it's like the game's just going over the combat. Like you feel combat feels as complex and meaty as if you're playing like a modern Dungeons and Dragons game or a. I haven't played that much Rust. I probably need to play more, but it is something like it feels big and tactical. Yeah, like you're supposed to be on a grid, and the thing is, you can move around and stuff. It doesn't have opportunity attacks, which I found is very nice. Like especially if I'm playing the cheat, which was Nina in my games. But yeah, you can move around a lot. But I found the rules are not as overbearing as in Dungeons and Dragons, but it does feel like you're doing more than just doing basic attacks, which does feel very, very nice. I'd say Nimble is a very nice system that I really enjoy playing, and I'd really like to play in a campaign because I think the nice thing is in a Nimble game, it's like you get your combat done with in about 10, 15, 10, 15 minutes, and it feels like a big combat. So you have a lot more time, say, in a 2 to 3 hour session to do your social encounters and your exploration encounters. Whereas I've often found with when I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, it's you can just have a quest giver talk to the players for a little bit, then do about two combats, and then you're about done with the game. But I really want to try Nimble as a campaign version and not just solo RPG. So I really hope I can really just say that I hope more people pick up this system. And when I was thinking with the one nice thing with it being in 3 books is your player rules are divided into 2 books. So if you have physical books, you can share between, and it's a lot easier for looking up. And yeah, this is just a scattershot, almost a stream of conscious about what I thought of this game, and I would say this is just a very nice system, and I really wish there was more people playing this. So just just pick up the system, and hopefully you can play with me because that would be great. I really like this system, but I'm just about at my end, and I'm gonna say I hope you found this video educational and slightly entertaining, and I hope you've had a good rest of your day.